Hello, everyone. It's time for another episode of Masks Off. I am Tia.
And I'm Kim.
And today we're going to talk about something we have experienced personally, and also something we know that our clients have come up from time to time, and lots of people, I'm sure you've witnessed it, and others, you've probably experienced it yourself as well. So first, we'll start off with the quote, which is, we're not really sure who to give credit to. We tried to do a search of who said this originally, but I think it's such a common saying that it's kind of unknown, or it's everyone's maybe, I don't know. So the quote is, you can run, but you cannot hide. And I'm sure when you hear that, you can relate at some point in your life, having felt the need, I just want to get away, I'm done, I want to go to a deserted island, not talk to anyone, I'm just done. So we're talking about when we're feeling flooded or overloaded and we just need a break. And whether that's retreating to your bedroom, to the bathtub, or literally, I just want to get away from everyone. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to get on a plane and never come back. So I know I've experienced that. How about you, Kim?
Yes. Well, first of all, I just was wondering, I was thinking to myself, because everything, a lot of what we do, we can relate to nature, right? Yeah. And I know you know a lot about animals. So do animals do this? Like if they're like under, I don't want to say under attack, because I know when they're under attack, they do. Right. That's where the flee comes from.
Totally.
But they don't get the overwhelm in the sense that we do, right? Like the overwhelm of stress or too much pressure where they want. I don't know why I was thinking that. I'm like, where does this, I guess I was thinking, because where does that come from? That behavior, that pattern of when, and there's that other saying, I think, like, if you can't stand the heat in the kitchen, get out, or something like that. Yeah. Like when there's this pressure, the pressure cooker, or too much overwhelm, the feeling is to want to run, to escape. So that's why I was just curious, where do you think this behavior comes from?
That is a great question. I mean, you talked about what comes to mind immediately, obviously, particularly with prey animals. They're being hunted, they hear something, they're gone. Not worth hanging around, and we evolved that way too as humans. We're technically a predator, but we were prey at times. Yeah. And so that's why we have that innate flee response, right? Because there could be the mountain lion stalking us, which still happens, right? So we still can get stalked being out in nature and have that feeling somebody's watching me and you just want to get out. Or when you're walking down a dark alley, especially as women, we're always on alert, like, hey, okay, that person's a little close. It feels like they're following me. I need to get out of here. I need to get myself safe. So I think it just is an evolution of that. Do other animals feel stress in the same way we do? It's hard to say. I can say, honestly, like in animal, like with monkey studies, I'm sure they've experienced that.
Right.
Like the horrible Harlow monkey trials that were actually done at the university here, which is now banned ethically and all of that. But, the baby didn't have attachment, the monkey, and so it had the cloth mom. And then when it was put in an environment that was super stimulating, it shut down. So it couldn't physically flee, but it went inward and mentally fled. So it really froze, but really it was fleeing the situation until it could get comfort from the cloth monkey to start to explore. So that came to mind. And then I thought of, horses who've been heavily trained with not so collaborative methods. Let's put it that way. Basically, you comply or I beat you or I'm whatever. So a horse will see if they get stimulated so much. Let's say the person who trained them in that method always wore a cowboy hat. So if they see a man with a cowboy hat, they will flee. Just like dogs, same thing, right? They want to flee from the basement stairs if they have something from the basement, bad memories. So do they feel that in the same way we do? It's hard to say, but flee is a nervous system physiological response. So when we talk about it with humans in the way we were thinking, that overload, like the weight of our shoulders is too much. And we just need a break and get away. It can actually, I think, be healthy and it can go to the unhealthy, like the escapism.
Yeah.
So what's your thought?
I think, well, okay, so this is masks off. So taking off my mask and sharing. I think for me, it's a very familiar pattern. And I think it's been an unhealthy one because I do avoid conflict. I know that. I've said that many times. I'm a conflict avoider. So when there is a lot of like pushing on me, rather than having the conflict and fighting,
Yeah.
I want to run. And I can remember when I was little, like literally if there was chaos going on in the home and my mom was getting into a fight with my grandmother or one of my cousins, because remember they lived in the same house. We lived in that 2-family. We were upstairs, they were downstairs. So if they were fighting or, there was just chaos, or my mom was yelling at me, like even if she was coming at me, let's say, I think really in these situations that I'm thinking of, my mother was more upset with me and pushing and pressing on me. I can remember getting on my little green bike with the white basket and riding my bike like the lady from the Wizard of Oz, just like just running away. I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back. I hate you. I hate you. Oh my God, it's so funny. But I would run. I would run. Right.
Well, it's been for a very long time, a pattern.
A very long time, because I was like 7 or 8 when I had that green bike. So, and I would run, but I couldn't really hide from it, because all I did was whatever I felt that I thought I was running from, the feelings, the pain, the big emotions, I just pushed them down.
Right.
And then when I got home, and went back in the house, it was like nothing happened. Everything was swept under the rug. Nothing was talked about. Nothing was, oh, I'm sorry, or aired out. There was no repair. There was no repair. So that just got pushed down. So you can't hide from that. You know what I mean? You can't hide from all that stuff. It still is there. I just ran from it in the moment until things de-escalated. And honestly, I can remember, even as I got a little older as a teenager, my mom, when she got to that point, her MO was get in the car and drive away.
Oh, interesting.
Storm off. And then sure enough, this is where I'm really taking off my mask and really being 100% honest, that when my kids were growing up, I did the same thing, because you can oftentimes learn what you live.
Right.
And I saw my mom, I witnessed her doing that. She couldn't at times handle whatever was going on, and she would run, and that I would get in my car and storm off.
So my curiosity is, when that happened, when your mom did that or when you did that, did you say, I need a break, I'm going to go for a drive, or did you just leave with dramatic?
Just left, just like I was getting on my bike, storming off.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Because there's a big difference in saying, I need some space, I need to take some time, I'm going to go for a drive, I will be back, I love you, but I got to take care of myself before I'd say something I'm going to regret, versus basically flipping everybody off, making
no,
no judgment.
Yeah, no, I know. I didn't have the skill set or the awareness, consciousness back then to do that.
And I assume no repair or processing when you came back either. When you were at that space in your life.
When I was at that space and time. Yep. When I was at that space and time, I didn't have that consciousness or awareness then. And I feel, and again, it is what it is. Number one, you do the best that you can do with what you have. And so like, I have no judgment toward my mom for that, because I know she didn't have that skill set either. You can hear so many people in our generation talking about our parents and how it impacted us, but also knowing they just didn't know.
Right.
They didn't have that. They didn't talk about what we talk about. They didn't have online classes to learn. They just didn't have that accessible to them.
100%.
So they just did what they could. So now our generation, gratefully, we went through it. We did it to our kids too, but now we are learning and we're doing masks off, and many other people our age are doing coaching and online courses, and they're on the path. So that's amazing and awesome, because now our kids' generation will have a different trajectory.
Exactly. And I think it's a good point that you brought up too, is that, previous generations didn't have this access. Yeah. Not just that they didn't have the information, because it wasn't passed down. They didn't have the accessibility to everything we have now. I mean, when you said that, I'm like, gosh, if I did not have access to other, I had access locally that started my path, and the books, books were accessible. But if I didn't have the additional, expanded ability to connect with people all over the world, I would never have met Dr. Shefali, most likely. I never would have read her book. I mean, I would have read her book, but reading books only take you so far, as we've talked about. But I went into her online classes back then, when online classes were brand new, right? And without that, and that continued support, getting to know people like you and having that ongoing support, it makes you wonder what would have happened. Would we just have been continuing those patterns?
I can't even imagine, because it was Dr. Shefali's work that started to change when I started to change myself and go inward and heal myself and look at myself, which then changed everything in the way that I parented.
Totally.
I mean, I just broke so many generational patterns because of Dr. Shefali's work. And then now you and I doing masks off. Exactly. We would never be doing masks off if we didn't meet one another through Dr. Shefali. And we wouldn't be able to get our word out there or having this conversation. And every time you and I get on and record, I'm growing, I'm evolving, I'm learning something by you and I just talking. So my mom didn't have this available to her.
No, I mean, I'm sure, it was, but it was so small and not to the same expansive of able to continue to do what we're doing and recognizing. So as you were talking, it made me think of, again, the running away.
Yes.
And look at so we may still have the desire to run away. Things get overwhelming. We may notice, I just want to get out of here. I'm done. Or consciously say, I'm going to go for a walk. I need a break. I need to step away from all of this for a moment, to recenter, go through the I am whole process, whatever. But us showing up every week, okay, maybe a little tooting our own horn here for a second, but us showing up every week, us doing our classes, me coaching people, you working with people, getting support on the other end. So I'm feeling held and supported to continue to evolve as well, is the so opposite of running away.
Exactly.
So when the desire to run away comes up, if we can have that same compassion and go, what am I running away from? What is deep within me that is hurting? What do I need to process? Okay, maybe I do need to get away for a little bit so I can, again, provide that internal checking in space, because sometimes it's really hard when we're super overwhelmed to go within, so we need that physical, conscious running away, if we want to call it that. I don't call it running away. It's called, in that
take a break,
taking a break.
Timeout.
But then also, if we do, let's say tomorrow you squeal out of the driveway, you're overwhelmed, just, hypothetically, you're going to turn that around very differently now.
Oh, for sure.
Than you would have 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Right.
Yes.
So it's the beauty of the process. You can run, but you can't hide, because you really can't hide, because all the feelings, everything, all the emotions, the stories, the beliefs, the worries, the fears, they're still going to follow you.
Yes.
may have a temporary relief, but until we dive in, tap in,
Do
get
the work.
curious, do the work, you can run halfway across the world and you may find a sense of peace on the external, but internally it's not there.
Yeah, it'll follow you.
Totally.
And that you're right. And just to kind of wrap up and wind up is that this past week, I have been doing that, mindfully taking those breaks and going to a nearby park
Love it.
when I feel overwhelmed, and just taking that time to, I bring my journal with me. I sit there, I
Wow.
do the I am whole process,
Wow.
and it just gives me more space so that when I return to the house, that I'm not so activated.
You
Like
can witness it instead.
I can witness it. And that's how I know that going inward and doing the work, my way of doing it now is our I am whole process. But for many people, it can be different things, just meditating, whatever, breathing. But when I do that work and I can see the shift and I can see the space, and come back, I know that I'm doing it differently from the way my mom did it, or from the way I did it when I used to get on a green little bike and just ride away.
I will have that vision of you on a green little bike with a white basket.
I mean,
do the little
lime
streamers too.
The streamers coming out of the handlebars, lime green, like bright lime green bike with my white basket. And it took me to places, of safety.
Exactly. And I think that's a really good point. It provided safety for you.
It did.
So at the time, it was helpful for you.
Yes.
Right? Because
it's absolutely
things are always there, because at one point they were helpful.
It was the only way that I could. Exactly. It was the way I coped. It was my way of escaping.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Wow.
So while I would love to right now just get on a plane and go to like Fiji somewhere, or the Maldives, and just be, I'll just stick with doing the I am whole, and I'll go to my park.
There you go. Love it.
My process. So, all right, everyone. We had some fun today, but there was still some very valuable wisdom in what we just talked about, because I know so many people can relate to what we just talked about, that feeling of, I just need to get away. I need a break, or it's too much. So while we had some fun and laughed, throughout, there's definitely some good wisdom. So thank you so much for listening. We appreciate your support. And as always, if you liked what you heard in this video, we would love either subscribe or a like or a comment, and we will see you next time on Masks Off.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.